The hardest property to get into is number one. The biggest problem is the deposit and then all the expectations that come with it. I remember getting my first property. I used every government grant that was available, the stamp duty concessions, the little incentives that they gave, and begged, borrowed, and I didn't quite steal to get into that property. And the critical thing in all of that is not to overthink that first step. Everybody is waiting way too long. The average age of the first home buyer is 35, about 34, 35. And about 10 years ago, it was 24, 25. I was 22 when I first bought that property. I'm 35 now. Since then, from when I first bought a property to now, I've had I've had like 6 or 7 properties. I haven't quite, but I've bought a number of different properties. Apartments, houses, new, old, commercial, a whole spread of stuff. I have never been a very good saver, but what I have been good at doing is acting, moving, and not deliberating too long and sweating the small things. That first property was not perfect. It was a little 2-bedroom apartment, south facing, didn't have a balcony. There's a whole bunch of things that were wrong with it, but there were a lot more things that were right. The first one was I could afford it. I went and spent $230,000 or $228,000 or something like that. Super cheap. I got in with a low deposit. So I think I got in with like a 5% deposit at that point in time. Got the government grants. I got in with very little cash. And I chose an area that I could see had really good long-term growth. That investment, I waited. It didn't cost me much to run. It grew. And I was able to use that growth. It grew by about $100,000 in a couple of years. It was like 3 or 4 years. I got lucky. The market turned and it grew. But the point is, I didn't overthink it. All of these people that are waiting to 35, they're looking for their dream home or a home that can fill a lot of their personal, emotional requirements. And in that time, they could have been investing for a decade. If they had bought a $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 asset instead of a $1.2 million home, they could have used that time and let the asset's growth help them buy something better in the future. Don't wait. Get into the market. Don't overthink it. Do your research. And happy investing, everybody.